What's up, guys? Cozy Maximalist here. Guys, we're back on a Saturday night. Big main tournament 2 just finished here in the Silver League. Guys, we had a great showing. We just checked in right before the beginning of the last main tournament, so I'm excited to dig into some of the rewards here tonight. Some of the other things I want to run through are to just go and take a look at some of the tournaments that are coming up. We can think about my lineups that I want to roll out here, but guys, it's just good to be hanging with you all here. I've had a great Saturday with the fam. We just had some homemade pizza, and now we've cleaned up. The babies are in bed, and time to pack some cards and take a look at what's going on in fantasy on the marketplace and what's coming up in the next week here. So let's jump in. So guys, if you followed my last video here, you saw the lineup that we rolled out. It actually changed. Let's see. Okay, they don't want me to look at my profile, so we'll go in and take a look at the lineup that I rolled out here in just a minute or so here. But out of 6,449 players in the second main tournament, I finished 393rd. So I feel pretty good about that, right? I've come in with around maybe a 1.5 ETH initial. I did throw another like third of an ETH or so in here, which was my Friend Tech airdrop, which I just sold and full ported over to fantasy right away. I actually, if you can believe it, won 1,000 friend the other night just for popping a meme into their meme contest, and I'm thinking about just throwing that. It's like $1,700 into ETH and putting it into fantasy. I might use that to bolster my lineups that are going into this week. There's been kind of a crash in terms of card prices, which is good for me because the R&R, I think, on tournaments right now is very good. And so again, with a 1.5 ETH initial and some smart picks on my end, we've done pretty well for ourselves, finishing within something like the top 4% in this last tournament here. So I tweeted this the other day, but if there's anything you can learn, it's just that fantasy is not necessarily a whales game, right? Maybe to get into that top 100, top 50, you really need to be throwing some ETH at it, but you can do well and win some good rewards with not a ton of ETH, right? Being a workman, a journeyman out here in these fantasy streets. So the rewards that we're walking away with, 25,000 fan points. We'll take that. We'll move into the mid 500,000s here of fan points. Again, the goal being hopefully we'll become a fan points millionaire at some point here. We've got some stars. Guys, I will just tease that the stars are going to be fun here in a few days, a few weeks. We'll be rolling out what is going on with the stars there. Just encourage you to stay tuned for the fantasy show, which is coming back next Friday. So we're doing, I think, bi-weekly on the fantasy show. Stay tuned for some stars announcements coming soon. In addition, this was a great improvement from our first tournament showing. The main tournament in this one had 333,000 gold that was being distributed, blast gold, and we've accrued 65 gold already, but we're going to win an additional 322 from our finish here. So again, if you take that at, let's just say conservatively, I don't even know what is like a conservative or a bullish estimate on blast gold here anymore, but I've seen $5, maybe in the $5 to $10 range getting thrown around. If we just take that as $5, I mean, that's a solid, basically like half an ETH right there that hopefully we're pulling out in blast gold rewards when we have a TGE here next month with blast, and then 3 cards, which will open up in just a minute here. So let's just go through. Let's claim our fan points. Boom, rewards claimed. Let's claim our stars. Boom, claim our blast gold. Why not? Boom. And now all we're left with are some cards. So we've got 3 here to pack and open up. I would love to grab a rare here that I would feel good about rolling out with in my rares only tournament, which is launching, I think, in my time zone overnight. So tonight is the night that I need to get my lineup ready for that tournament. So let's open it up here. This is the first time since we've been on mainnet that I'm punching in with a pack opening on mainnet. So this will be fun to dive in here. So let's claim these rewards. Let's see what we pull here. we're gonna have a little fun, little pack animation, guys, on the real live mainnet here. So let's get into it. We've got a little music, a little wiggle, a little jiggle. Here we go. Cards coming out. Oh, whoa, dude, we pulled a cozy. We pulled one of me. Oh, guys, bittersweet because my inflation has gone way up because I have been nerfed. My engagement has not been as good the last few days, but we'll take that. That's awesome. A cozy, a safety third, and a McKenna. Okay, so like decent, right? We will take that. That is not bad at all. It's maybe not, it's not great, but it's just like fine. It's just like fine. You know, we're doing okay there. With that, always good to pack one of yourself, right? That's kind of a little humble flex there. We'll take that. That's super fun. Okay, so yeah, guys, that's maybe a good little note to drop in with, right? Is that with the new fantasy scoring, my engagement, my posts just have not been hitting in the last week. So to all of my card holders, I am like genuinely sorry that things have just not been going as well. You know, a lot of the ways that I've kind of farmed engagement, if you will, is both by obviously shit posting on main and having some bangers that have come out over the course of time. And still, man, it's kind of hard to put together a crypto banger, especially my Bitcoin puppets engagement has gone way down. I'm still puppet posting just about once a day or so, and I love to puppet post. It's just fun. But I do think that when puppets were just hot and ordinals were ridiculous, that was just an easy way to be filling up the stat sheet there. And then also I do a lot of just like reply guying, both on, you know, like crypto posts, but also on just like random viral tweets that have gone out that just come up on my timeline. I love to just throw a Wojak on there, do something funny, and I can rack up views that way, which is good for me getting into like Elon Bucks territory, where you need about 5 million impressions plus over a 3-month period to qualify. So I have qualified for that because I've been kind of crushing on views by throwing out some of those bangers, but that hasn't been capturing as much fantasy points for me because it's now relative to the amount of crypto Twitter mind share that you're pulling. So I think that's been a positive development overall, and I just need to kind of change and step up my game as a hero myself, but also, to be honest, there's just kind of only so much that I can do. So we're just going to keep growing in the ways that we can, but yeah, guys, if you started me in the main tournament or even in the commons only tournament, I'm sorry. It hasn't been maybe what I would have liked, and I'm about to get nerfed in stars tomorrow or whenever that updates here. But maybe that'll make me a little more of an economic rollout here for this 15-star commons only tournament that's coming up in just a few days. We can even see, okay, so my floor is falling, guys. We're down to 0.06, but still a 0.05 ETH floor there. And then McKenna is rolling out, very, very low, my friend, with like a 0.01 floor there and some bids in like the 0.01. So, I mean, we're at 0.06 there that we've pulled. And then who else did we grab? We grabbed a safety third who's maybe not doing a whole lot for us right now, but still it's coming in at that 0.01. So, I mean, still, just if we were to immediately sell all of these cards, pulling out 0.07 ETH, maybe something like $175, maybe $200 that we pulled out there if we wanted to just try to sell off these cards right away. Some of these will probably be holds, or maybe I'll just turn them into some ETH dust here and do a little bit of moving around the money here to consolidate into some cards that I maybe feel better about. So this was the lineup that we ran with that went for 393rd finish in that last main tournament. So a few changes here. I don't exactly remember where I was at that point, but I actually did some flip-flopping in the interim time after I published that video and the main tournament going live. And the two changes that I made were picking up a little clear pill in rare, and then also a rare Zeneca, who really did quite well for me for, I think, something like maybe 0.9 ETH all in. I think I put 0.4 into Lil Clear Pill, who's just consistent and very solid, a base Vermelia poster and just knows how to get after it. And then Zeneca, who does really consistent informational posting on fantasy and in general, and is just a really good old guard crypto Twitter personality to have in the lineup. Base Dom, very consistent for me. Alan, kind of fortunately for me, unfortunately for him, had the Pump.Fun exploit happen during this week, So I think that caught some extra engagement there. And then really just the GOAT here, Pancakes Bra, absolutely carrying my lineup. The dude is just ridiculous. I think he's leading all heroes and tweets put out right now. And the guy coming in number 17 on a 7-day rolling average is just awesome. I mean, this dude has just stepped it way up. So with a common and with a rare right here, I mean, this is like a clean 2x off of where I bought that Pancakes Bra rare. And it was over the course of the tournament, he was up in like the low 1 ETHs. And there was a part of me that was like, oh man, I need to flip this man right now. But he was locked in for my lineup, and I'm not complaining. I'm happy to have Pancakes Bra. And I think that this is very close to the rares only lineup that I'm going to roll out tomorrow. I do have to find somebody to replace Based Dom here. And so that's really going to be the mission here for these next few hours. So why don't we take a look right here? Oh, and something fun is that we are moving into League 2. So they've expanded some of the different leagues here for that are going to be, again, as it says on screen, the higher your league, the better the rewards. So we started out in the first main tournament, everybody in League 5. For main tournament 2, they split the top half into League 4, the Silver League, and the bottom half into League 5. I think there was something like another 6,000 players that were in there. But now they've opened up, presumably, League 3 and League 2. So we've made it into League 2, and now the goal is to get into this little turquoise action going on in League 1. So that'll be our mission here for this next main tournament that's coming up. We don't know when, but probably in the next week or two here. So that'll be exciting, and we'll just be building to get ourselves as high as we can so the rewards that we get are even better and better. Okay, so let's take a look at the marketplace here and just see, something I will check in on is what are packs selling for right now? Packs are down to about 1/3 of an ETH, and you can see these populating down here. I mean, people are firing off bids into these. So the price has come down somewhat from a peak of like 0.43. To me, for this to be like plus EV, just for my kind of like budget area, I feel like if they were at maybe like 0.2 or 0.25, I would be willing to kind of pull the trigger here. But this is still a bit pricey just for where I'm at. But still, as you can see, it's not stopping all of these people down here. Little OX Paul Atreides. I saw an Easy Eats in there. He's getting into the game. So that's fun. This is like not crazy, I feel like, to buy a pack at 0.3. 0.4 feels pricey for me. But still, maybe if you're just starting out and you've got a lot of ETH to burn, I bet that if pack volume continues to trend down and the algorithm for how these are priced out goes down, that this could become like a worthy buy. So let's pop into the marketplace here, and we can take a look with some filtering here of the cards that we might want to be aiming for in this next rares tournament. So right now we have liquid. Let's take a look. We have 0.132 ETH that is ready to be deployed. This is my ETH for gas right here, and then this is my ETH that I can use to buy a card. So we've got 0.13. Let's just see what we've got if we were to go with just what we have off the top right here. So the best that we could do, at least with the 7-day rolling average, is a SAT start. Or even I would feel good about rolling out with a Kipit potentially. I would feel fine with going down to a rare-based Dom. I would be also comfortable with an Apix who has some cool content that's coming out on the regular. Icebergy has been very consistently in the middle of the pack. Loopify as well. These are two kind of old head crypto Twitter influencers. I love the hustle of a Skizzer. That's my brother and puppet right there. And then Mikado, who's another one of the devs for fantasy. So I feel like those are all options that I wouldn't hate going into the next tournament. But I do want to just crank up the ETH here, and let's just think about if I were to put a little bit more ETH in, right? If I were to maybe load myself up with another like half ETH or so, either by selling some cards or by, like I said in my situation, shipping that friend over here into Fantasy Top. Let's just take a look at what with like say 0.7 ETH could get us. So we've got obviously a Pancakes Bra, which I'm already rolling out. And then here's some options that really interest me, right? War Daddy Capital is someone who has been very consistently in the top 30. He's done as well as I think top 15 or top 20 finishes, and has just really turned himself into a just like bread box, like great influencer to put out there, right? Because he's been covering fantasy very closely. Imran Khan as well, right here next to War Daddy, is in Alliance style. We've talked about him in the past, and he's someone who has just had a lot of really successful apps. They're sponsoring not just fantasy, but also Pump.Fun, and he puts out really good, consistent content on the timeline. I don't know how much he actually cares about like being a fantasy top hero, but this guy has really been just like very consistently drawing engagement, and I feel like he would be a very safe bet for getting into the top 30 or 40 with this rares only tournament. So I feel really good about potentially investing in a War Daddy or an Imran Khan. Now, if I wanted to go for maybe a lower price point here, I love Gleb. You guys know that he used to be in my lineup. I had actually sold off my Gleb, which I had flipped for a 2x here when I was looking to consolidate my ETH to make those Zeneca and Lil Clear Pill plays. I think I had bought him for 0.13, sold him for 0.26. He's still selling right around the 0.3 mark here. That's not like a bad option by any means, and if I wanted to save a little ETH, especially for a pricier War Daddy, would not be a bad option at all here. As I go down in terms of the rolling 7-day score, remembering that this is, again, as I say, a 7-day score overall of their fantasy score, but not the score in tournaments. That's from the start of the tournament that their engagement is being rated. So this is just kind of a baseline for you to go off of. There are some interesting faces and names that I see down here. Nobody on this rack necessarily really kind of catches my eye too much. I do like Intern. He's always putting out Monad content. I think he's been posting more consistently since he'd come to fantasy. I love an OX Pajki, a based Milady who's just going to post about whatever's going on. But I really like a Cirrus who has the potential to really get up into that top 10, top 15 with some of the bangers that he puts out. He's number 45 on the 7-day rolling average here, but as you can see, he's pricey, and that's for good reason because he, again, like I said, has that pop potential. I also really like Orion Selkis here, who maybe hasn't benefited as much from the fantasy scoring being updated, but as someone with a lot of old guard followers, he has seen a good boost. And coming in at number 47 here, this is just something that's off the top of my head as I think about this, right? Is that I remember Ryan saying that he was going to respond to that crypto single issue voting op-ed that was published in, I think, the Block it was published in Blockworks a few weeks back here. And he's been engaging a lot with kind of crypto and politics, and that's been generating a lot of buzz. I think it's going to be a consistent narrative here. So for 0.3, that's a buy that I'm very interested in and may very well be the direction that I go, because actually, if you can believe it, I was trying to get the liquidity together before the tournament started to go for him when he was priced around 0.5. So I would have taken a bit of an L there if that were the case, but he still, I think, came out decently well in this last tournament. I don't know where he placed exactly, but I ended up just sticking with the lineup that I rolled out and feel good about that. But Ryan filling in my 5th spot there would be like a really strong guy that I think is going to continue to trend up as 2024 progresses here. He's very consistent. He's the spokesman for Masari, in addition to obviously leading their operations. But him getting into the political arena, that is just ripe for engagement. And so I think that is going to be a good long-term buy. Here's the last one. Two more that really interest me as I'm looking around here. One is a Max, who as just a Radbro poster is really consistent as a shit poster, and for 0.23, that's probably the cheapest card that I've looked at to fill in my last spot here. I would be happy with a Max here, again at a number 54 7-day rolling average on the cheap. Someone that I could roll out and know is just going to be on the hunt to make it. This guy probably has fantasy incentives that he wants to do well for. He is invested in different projects. He's a good poster. I would trust Max. Rolling out in my lineup, Me has done a really good job of posting lately. He's just been on fire, and this guy just knows how to get after it. If you know me, again, I'm a lady, is always going to be an appealing poster to me. And then finally, we have a Sinise here, who I think is one of the, again, best posters on Twitter. He's an old head guy, but has really taken up a great foothold in Farcaster. I probably have talked about him before, but he is doing the On-Chain Gaia's collection. And so anything that would come out with regard to information on that would be a big boost to his engagement, in addition to him falling at number 63 in the 7-day rolling average. At 0.38, I could very well see him moving up the ranks and having a lot of pop potential to be able to move into some really strong territory for me here as a rollout. I also think that Moon here at 0.22 is probably undervalued. This guy just is ultra consistent. He knows how to put out good content, and he has just like a good incentive structure. He tries to pump his bags, but he's a good poster. And Moon at 0.22, I feel like if I could even really rally together some capital there, I would be very interested in an Epic Moon, because I feel like that's just a guy who's going to continuously put out really good content on the timeline. He has proven that over the course of time. He did really well on testnet, and he's someone who, if the kind of like fantasy algorithm continues to evolve to reward accounts with large followings, I think that Moon would grow in turn with that. Here's two more that interest me just as I'm scrolling. I really like an OX Lolliot here. He's not maybe the greatest in terms of consistency, but during like shitcoin summer and even these last few months, he's become one of the biggest and maybe well-known faces on crypto Twitter. So he's going to have a really good handle on that, kind of capturing mind share in that way. And so I love an L for that. He's a 0.48 or so floor here, which is a bit pricier, but that's a great direction to go. And then RWLK, who I would call a friend of sorts. He's a great shit poster, one of the funniest guys around. And 0.55, that's a hefty floor, but someone that I would love to roll out of my lineup, because I know he's going to be putting out 2 to 3 bangers a day. As we're scrolling down here, if you maybe have a smaller price point here or budget, there'd be zero shame in rolling out a hero. That guy is just going to be committed to the bag. I think he's invested in the game of fantasy, both as a user and a hero. He's finished in the top 3. I don't know where he finished in this last tournament, but in the top 3 in the last 2 tournaments, as far as I know. And his posting is very consistent and very good. And so Hero there is a great person to shout out. And a Luca Nets here on the lower side with regard to 7-day rolling average. But you know that if a Pudgy Penguins announcement came out at any point, that would be a guy that would be just crushing it and probably instantly in that top 10, top 15 range here. So again, I talked about Kippen and Mikado earlier here. Those are buys that I would feel very comfortable with because they're aligned with fantasy success. There's Mikado. Both of those guys are on the cheaper end. If I wanted to do a budget option, those would be great budget options. Of course, there's Charlotte Fang, who is the founder of Milady at 0.2. I feel like that's undervalued for Charlotte because he can put out just awesome bangers at any moment. Although sometimes I feel like Charlotte going viral now, something you have to be aware of, is that, there is sometimes a cost there because Charlotte tends to go outside of crypto Twitter with some of the viral type content that he puts out. And so that can actually ding him in his score. So he's probably someone that's taken a bit of a nerf in that way with the updated algorithm that, again, is targeted towards fantasy or crypto Twitter mindshare. The last one is, again, base Dom. You saw in my lineup that I've rolled out an Epic base Dom. So for 0.1, I would feel very comfortable with him as my last rare in that lineup. So those are kind of all of my just running market thoughts here, right? I feel good about a lot of these options. If you asked me right now what I was going to do, I'll think really carefully about maybe selling like my cozy, my extra myself that I have, and maybe my Alex, which is on the low here. I feel like he's going to re-rate pretty low, but has the potential to go back up. I could try to cobble together, another 0.15 ETH and go after that Ryan Selkis. He's very appealing to me, but I also could think about going into that budget area. I also could look at that Imran Khan. I feel like those are the 3 most likely directions that I'll go, but I've really just got to take a little bit more time to think about it. Sinise is also on my mind. He's someone that I might go after. A Moon is also a real option here. So that's just some of my thought process. And we can take a look at some of these tournaments that are coming. So in less than 24 hours now, the rare only tournament will be starting. With that, 22 hours, I think that is going to be 5 p.m. Eastern time, if I'm doing my math right here. Maybe 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow that'll be starting. So maybe the time's changed on that, but I'll have a little bit more time than I thought to get my lineup in order here, but I'll try to finalize that tonight. Again, guys, 222,000 blast gold up for grabs there, which is the same amount as was in the first main tournament. I mean, these are crazy incentives that the team has to be able to roll out right now with regard to blast incentives, with the TGE on that being delayed until next month. I think Fantasy is just going to continue to clean up on blast gold allocations and have really strong incentives to be able to deal out to people to help them get into the game. So with all of that being said, here coming up as well, we're in the capped 20 star common only tournament right now. Guys, that's been a bit rough for me right now, right? It's been tough. I'm in 5,115th place out of 9,610. I mean, hey, good that it's not a main tournament, right? So we're not going to get dinged with regard to our leagues, but still would love to be doing better. But I think I just got a little cute here, right? Pancakes Bra has been performing really well for us. RWLK, I'm not exactly sure, maybe middle of the pack here. We can take a look where he's at. All right, we're not picking up. There he is. He's at 103rd right now on the charts. And then we've got Amika, who's coming in at 73rd, again, kind of middle of the pack. Myself, who is at 127th. Again, would love to be doing better than that, but that's just kind of where things stand right now. We've got Pancakes, who's been still super strong for us at 22nd place. And then my final card in my lineup, is a Vers Laloon, who, again, has banger potential. Really, he could go viral at any time. But he is clocked in at 123rd right now. So really myself, Vers, and then, just kind of a middle of the pack performance from RWLK and Mika have me in the middle of the pack here. But I just want to shout out my guy Iced Cooley here for being in first place. That's puppet power right there. Look at this guy rolling out a Vidamo, a Pancakes Bra, a Gleb, a Benroy, and a Kaleo. I mean, that's an epic lineup that this guy has put in here, and deservedly he's in first place. So I hope he pulls it out for the puppet community, right? That would be a big win for us. So coming up in the next few days here is the capped 15 star tournament. I really like that because, again, this is just showing that it's not a whales game. I think that stars are going to be re-rated in the next few days here, so cards are going to change what you'll be able to get in there with to get in at that 15 star cap. But that's something to watch out for. That's a few days away, so the common only cap 20 tournament will unlock here in a few days, and then we'll be able to get everything ready for the cap 15. Another 111,000 blast gold being allocated in each of these two common only tournaments. Guys, the last thing that I'll say, man, I was going to make this a quick video and we've been almost here for a half an hour. I just could talk your ear off all day apparently, but I do enjoy this. This is fun to just chat and talk things through. This is just the last thing I'll say. I feel like right now we're at a point where maybe interest has dipped at some degree. Obviously, floor prices have gone down, but I just feel like the fantasy team just keeps on executing, keeps on shipping. And if you saw my Twitter feed today, what I was talking about is that I really think that there's going to come a time soon where the real focus for fantasy is going to shift away from blast incentives like blast gold, and which is awesome and going to be a great incentive that the team has to give out, and ETH, right, which the team has ETH that they've used for past tournaments to incentivize and everything. But I think that the real prize of fantasy will eventually become fan points and stars, right? Fan points backed by Manifold. I think it's not crazy for us to expect that a token is coming down the line here with that. And stars, the team has some fun things planned that are going to be revealed soon. But I think that just looking back on, say, Friendtech, right? The frenzy that was there with regard to knowing that an airdrop and a token was coming down the line was enough to generate all of the crazy buzz that we saw 6 or 7 months ago for Friendtech. And so fantasy, I feel like people are focusing on the blast incentives, but what could become even more lucrative down the line, and what I think will keep the flywheel effect going for fantasy, could be just the network effects of fantasy that people see as not just a short-term kind of pump and dump play, but as a real long-term sustainable app that's going to be around both for crypto Twitter and with the potential to really grow as a financial layer built on top of Twitter using crypto. And so I think that this is just it's a long-term perspective play for me. And I think that even if the number of active players continues to taper off and maybe market dynamics shift up and down as card floors go and everything, I think that this is going to be a great opportunity because it's going to create a cult following of thousands of people that are invested in the prizes, but are going to be invested in the long-term financials of fantasy, right? In the long-term game of this game, right? And I just see a lot of potential for fantasy token down the line to have a lot of use cases within the app itself and to be a real strong token that's not just going to be valueless, but can have a real use case within the framework of this game for the long term, and as fantasy continues to grow and experiment. If there's anything that I've seen from the team, it's that they're committed to just keep shipping and keep active. They come from the trenches, and I think that they actually really care about what's happening in the game. And so that's an exciting thing to just be a part of. I still, guys, if you can believe it, I think we're still early. So, hey guys, it's been a lot of fun. I'm talking things through with you guys on fantasy. I'm doing a recap of this last main tournament. Keep an eye out, like I said, for the fantasy show, which is coming back this coming Friday. And stay tuned for more content from me. If there are things that happen in the middle of next week, I'll try to jump on top of them. Actually, as I say that, I'm on a work trip. I'm on a work trip next week from Monday to Thursday, so that will not be the case. But next weekend, I will definitely come back to you guys with some more content, recap some of the tournaments that we go through, and look back on the week again in fantasy, and we'll have a lot of fun with that. But I will be back on Friday for the fantasy show from the main account, so keep an eye out for that. There's going to be some really fun guests and announcements coming down the line, so I hope you join us for that. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for taking the time and hanging with me tonight. Guys, best wishes. I hope you have a great weekend into next week and that the fantasy tournaments go well for you, my friends. Guys, have a great night. Thanks so much for watching.